one of the biggest issue that I see with traders is that they completely skip that, and nobody is really talking about it, but that is important. It's about how do you treat yourself? Like, what is your relationship with yourself? Because if you don't take care of yourself, I mean, you're the biggest asset in this equation. I mean, this is trading business, right? And if you don't take care of yourself, it's like you cannot keep scolding yourself. There's just so much into this, into the identity. So absolutely, this influences. You cannot just say, oh, and now I'm done trading, because most traders cannot leave it at the desk.
Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today. Hey guys, welcome back to Market Mamas. Today's conversation is for every trader who has ever known exactly what they should do and still struggles to actually do it, because trading is really not always just about the charts, right? It's about even more so underneath all of that is identity, emotional regulation, discipline, self-trust, how we respond under pressure, because futures day trading is my trading avenue, and goodness, there's a lot of pressure there, especially. So the market has a way of exposing our patterns, our subconscious patterns that kind of play into that, especially the ones that we haven't always fully faced. And so I kind of want to get into some of that. I'm very excited because today I'm joined by Miss Wood, trading mindset coach and founder and CEO of Ahead Coach, with 15 years of trading experience and more than 2 decades studying NLP, psychology, neuroscience, emotional mastery. And Agnieszka helps traders stop forcing discipline and start trading with the calm, patient confidence that we all need to really adhere to our system. So since 2019, Agnieszka has helped many traders create sustainable, transformational, from the inside out changes through her coaching programs, and even a podcast as well called Confidence in Trading, which I'll let you guys know about more. But today we're just going to have an open discussion here at Market Mamas, where we get into the psychology behind inconsistencies, emotional trading, overreaction, perfectionism, the patterns that really make us stuck, and how we can start to shift those. So thank you so much for being my guest today. I'm really excited about this conversation.
Thank you so much, Becky, for having me and for this wonderful introduction. It's a lot that you put out there, but really underneath all of that, I'm just a trader like you guys and your audience. So everything that I teach and that I'm talking about is really based on my own experience, struggling for several years, and then going through the transformation process, through releasing all the patterns that you were talking about, and building the discipline that is needed to actually trade with consistency. So I'm excited to share my journey and to share my insights and hopefully add value to your audience.
That's absolutely perfect, because this is part of trading that I didn't anticipate. And I actually am really kind of in love with it, how it really evolves over time. I started because I just thought I could buy and sell and make a lot of money, and it would be this interesting opportunity. But it has shifted my entire life, my perspective, my personality, my identity, my goals. And then it has evolved into, now I have a podcast, and now I'm just meeting incredible people all across the world. And it is shifting everything, what I want for my life and how I see it going. And I think you are a key example on how that has happened, because you now have expanded into multiple different areas of that. But I'm wondering if part of the reason why is that, I think you alluded to this, is that you had to start changing and facing this stuff early in your career, and that's how you kind of led to where you are now.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that I never really thought that I would do this. But I used to be a life coach. So I have always had an inclination to coach people. It was just something that actually, when I was young, my mom told me, she told me just a few years ago, but she said that when I was young, I was always playing a teacher. I would put my dolls and the bears, and, I had the blackboard, and I kind of forgot about it. But she said, you were playing a school every single day. So maybe somewhere subconsciously, I knew that this will be my path. But originally, I studied management and marketing, and I have built corporate career in that area. So I never really thought, I didn't really know about stock market until 2010, when I was introduced to the stock market, and I had exactly the same experience as you did. It's going up and down. It looks easy, right? I mean, you just buy it here, you sell it there, great. At that time, I had a very successful company that I was running, and I didn't really need the money. So it was kind of, let's just play. Let's see. So when I moved to the US in 2013, that's when I really took things more seriously after losing already some money. And I thought, I'm going to do this for a living, which is a perfect switch. Let me do this for a living. And I was very serious about that. So I actually quit my job that I had as a consultant. I was working from home, so I didn't really have to. It was paid great and everything, but I wanted to be serious. Like you have those ambitious people, like high achievers, right? I was that person. So I had no shred of a doubt I'm going to make it, because I always make things a success. And I know that there are a lot of traders out there who are thinking the same way. And isn't that the most frustrating thing, that, at least it was for me, you get in and it just doesn't work. It's that the journey, like you think it's going better, and then you break everything down. And then you think it's going better and you break everything down. And that frustration was bringing up a lot of different emotions, a lot of different patterns. And I had to look at them first before I actually could move forward. And it took several years. And fortunately, I was very fortunate that I had the background, because at that time I was already, I was studying NLP in 2000. And so I had a lot of experience as a life coach, but I never thought I would need to have that I would need to use it. So when I started struggling, that's when I started going back to that, and I was like, wait a minute. So what has actually happened? Mind you, not immediately, okay? It wasn't like, oh, I struggle, let me analyze myself. No, that was not that. It took me about 2 years until I got a call from my body that said, no more stress. So it was a quite a significant call, pretty, how shall I say it? Real wake-up call, let's say it that way. And I really had to stop and look closer. What am I doing to myself? And that's when I really started going onto the journey, looking at the patterns, and that's when things started to shift. And from there, after I was able to finally get to consistency and started making profits, and I thought, oh my God, the way that I actually shifted was so powerful, and in fact, so quick. That's when I started thinking, I need to spread the news. I need to bring this to other people, because I know that there are people like me who struggle for years. And I wasn't wrong, because I have worked with traders who have been stuck in that very same cycle of making money, losing it all, making, losing, sometimes for 15 years. And they lost millions of dollars. So that's when I knew, okay, this is the right path. This is the right thing to do. So.
It's amazing. I think that that's the truth. And I think that maybe us talking about it today will help normalize it for someone out there, because it's hard, especially you coming from a business background and like being a successful adult who has a career. I had that same thought as well when I started learning. I was like, okay, this is not going to be that hard. You buy and support, you sell at resistance, and then you lock in the money and you start traveling the world. That was the answer. And it actually was like way, way, way harder when I got into it, because it exposed so many underlying subconscious energies that I just had no idea would be a factor to trading. And that is what changed me too. When I started finally getting profitable was when I finally started facing like the deeper underlying parts of my psychology that I really never even considered that were there, until I was so frustrated with my trading outcomes that my mentor at the time started really encouraging me. And that was the game changer too. And I think a lot of people do struggle with it a lot in the back and forth and before they really lock in. I mean, like, there's all the things that we engage with. You can have periods of successful trading because with experience you get a good strategy, but then you'll still oftentimes kind of succumb to revenge trading and tilt and like getting really frustrated, and it can roller coaster. And so, I mean, I guess maybe let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what happens with that roller coaster, and how can people best try to like start smoothing that out? What would you think about that?
Yeah. And before we get there, because I think you really touched a very important thing. for people who are normally successful, and you said like, I had to get to those patterns, but you didn't even know that you had to get to those patterns. The thing is that most people don't even know that they have those patterns, and that those patterns are actually not serving them in trading, because those very same patterns that made us successful, we bring into trading and we think this is going to make me successful again, right? So we are working hard, we're pushing ourselves. If things are not working, we're pushing even more, and that doesn't work. That's exactly the pattern that is destroying your consistency, your confidence, and that is constantly bringing you back to point zero. And the only way that we know to fix it is do more of what we are doing. And this is how you end up in that cycle without really having the comprehension that this is a pattern, and you cannot use the same patterns or the same strategies, and I'm talking about behavior strategies that we are using in life, into the environment like the market. I love this comparison that I use very often, because I think it kind of brings things very tangible for people. Trading is like going to the moon. Completely different conditions, okay? There is no oxygen. You got to be prepared. You got to know how to operate in those conditions there. But what most traders do is they step into the rocket ship, right, the spaceship. They shoot themselves into the moon, and they just walk out and like, ta-da, and they die. And they think, hey, tomorrow I want to try this again. And they do the same thing over and over and over again. And that just doesn't work. You got to understand that the moment you sit in front of a computer and you open those charts, the market is putting so many different forces at you, that those strategies that we all have, most people that have grown, it's also age dependent, because I think like younger people, I don't know if they have the same ethic of work hard, better, the harder I work, the more I make. But that very ethic, and we think it's a good thing, right? And that's the point. Like, we think it's a good thing, so we don't even think to change it. But in trading, that doesn't work. In trading, you got to stay away, and that makes people uncomfortable, makes people feel that they're lazy,
You think that screen time during market open, when it's trading session, you need to be there and find your trades and execute trades. But over trading is actually extremely damaging to a P&L most of the time. And more experienced traders, I have found, are actually far more selective on their trades, and sometimes won't even trade if they don't get an A+ setup. And that sort of like maturity and patience with the market is not stereotypical of early traders. But it's like you said, I mean, you show up to your job and you're attentive and you want to work hard and you want to execute some trades, and like, it's a totally different approach and situation that gets you to actual true success.
Absolutely. So when you were asking about this, kind of a roller coaster, that is purely reactions to the market. And people try to use willpower to discipline themselves. And most people, especially high achievers, and I consider most traders high achievers, because if you are not someone ambitious who like challenges, you probably won't get into trading. 90-something% of traders, if I ask, why did you get into, what do you like about trading? Why did you get into it? They say, because I like the challenge. Okay. So the fact that people like the challenge, a lot of times they kind of mix up the discipline with adrenaline. And a lot of people are adrenaline driven. So they need action. They need something to actually feel this drive to do something, and they cannot stand the situation when nothing happens. So when they are in trouble, they know how to make themselves disciplined. So, after a big loss or a series of losses, or making like a stupid mistake, like you think like, oh, I made such a stupid mistake, which is probably not stupid, but that's what most traders tell themselves. Like, okay, from tomorrow, I'm just gonna do much better, right? So you're being disciplined, you force yourself, and you use your own strategy, and things are going better. So now you relax. Oh, it's going better. And then you lose your focus. And then you're back to making a mistake because you lost your focus. So you end up in that cycle, because also without adrenaline, you are not disciplined, because then everything in you says you got to act while you shouldn't. So you're ending up in this roller coaster instead of actually adjusting your system to those conditions, as I mentioned, and instead of forcing yourself, using a different kind of discipline that I call compassionate discipline, which is a very different type of discipline. It's not based on reinforcement, on threat, and on fear, because this is what most people think about discipline. Like, I have to discipline myself, right? So, and that approach is completely different. And I see how quickly and how wonderfully it works with traders, and even not just in trading, but in general in life for people. Because from pushing, you just get more stress, and your nervous system is being very reactive instead of responsive. So
I feel everything that you just said. I feel like you just talked about my life as a trader, because I was an ER nurse and a high achiever. And like, the reason why I got into trading is because I had a back injury and I was home on leave, and I was losing my mind because I want to be a high achiever. I want to be working and building and creating and succeeding and challenging myself. And so just a little tiny bit of time off work, I was like, nah, I need something. And so, and then the adrenaline factor too of being, especially gravitating towards ER nursing. Like, I like big challenges and quick action and having to force it. And that I thought that would be a superpower in trading, to be able to be quick and think on my feet and understand like complex problems and stuff. But it actually, I think, fed into there was benefits, but I think it did feed into a lot of seeking that adrenaline and then managing the high stress situations, instead of being able to be patient and really wait and like hold myself back from a lot of things. And so there was a lot of rewiring involved in that.
yeah, for sure, because this is also a pattern. Like, imagine if you are for years and years are existing in a situation where you run on adrenaline, your system, not just mentally, but your physical body, is addicted to the stress hormones. Your neutral state is basically elevated state of stress. And our body will always want to go to the default. So the moments that nothing happens, there is no drama, actually everything is going well, and you're actually making money and you're consistent, it's kind of boring. So what do you do on a subconscious level? You sort of like recreate the drama, because you need something to feel that adrenaline, and it's not that like people do that on purpose, but the discipline, really, you can see if you are disciplined when there's nothing happening. This is where the discipline is getting tested. Because if nothing is happening and you cannot stand still, you don't have discipline. The discipline doesn't happen when everything is running, and you're like, oh, and I'm going to just stick to my plan. But you are still in that adrenaline driven process. So definitely those patterns, like whatever you are used to, you're going to bring into trading. And the computer is going to mirror it to you.
Yeah, and create opportunities to magnify it as well in your P&L.
Absolutely.
Do you think that it crosses over into all aspects of your life? If that's like a personality thing, whether it's your work or your personal life or your relationships with others, like how much do you think about like who you are as a person outside of trading is a factor for when you're approaching your charts and your, trade executions?
Yeah, I think totally. Like in trading, I think trading is one of the professions where you cannot put a hat on and say, now I'm a trader, and then you take a hat off and now I'm another human being. And I think people are used to playing roles, but because trading is so personal and it's just you and you are being constantly confronted with yourself, what happens is people are trying to put a hat and be someone else, and then they keep lying to themselves. So they are creating that image of this perfect trader that they are trying to become. And when they make mistake, they try to hide it or explain it or make up a story or a lie why this happened. So instead of looking at the problem, the actual problem, why that happened, their ego is constantly trying to strive to that image that they have created. Like, I should be this person. I should be further by now. Why am I not there yet? And they constantly beat themselves up. And that stops them from actually making steps forward, because you never take the moment to look at what is playing. Like, how many times I hear from traders, they don't want to review losing trades because they don't want to see those mistakes. which is another thing for, the pattern that most people have grown up with. And still to this day, every system is rewarding no mistakes. So we come to trading, and now you have to make mistakes. Like you will make mistakes. You can do everything right and still be wrong. You know what I mean? So if you keep avoiding making mistakes, and if mistake is happening and you're not just saying, okay, there was a mistake, let's move on, but you're like, no, I have to make this right, I have to make this work, and you start adding to the loser, you're keeping, you're holding on to it for too long. It's like you start making a disaster just because you don't want to admit that something went wrong and just move on. So there's definitely a lot of patterns that we are taking from our life and trying to be someone else that we think we should be, instead of saying, okay, where am I in my trading? Who am I? What am I bringing to the table? What kind of patterns am I bringing? And another big part of it is, what story am I telling myself about myself? Because that is really defining your identity. Like if you have been struggling for a long while and you have been losing money and you keep telling yourself, oh, my God, I lost again. I'm such a loser. This is the emotion. This is the mindset. This is how you will be trading. You will be approaching your trading from a very negative mindset. And that is not conducive to your success. That's just an example.
Because it kind of puts your identity, right?
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
that kind of situation. It can seem, if you say it enough times, you can get stuck in like, that is who I am.
Yes.
So of course these freaking executions keep working out this way because I'm this
Yeah.
person. But that negative identity shift is like so dangerous.
Yes, absolutely. And I can tell you that one of the things that when I work with traders is identity shift, because the personal identity is one of the pillars that is such a key thing, and it goes really very deep, because it's about beliefs, it's about how we talk to ourselves, it's about how we see ourselves, it's about our boundaries, it's about how we relate to ourselves, respect, self-respect, self-trust. All those things is part of the identity. And one of the biggest issues that I see with traders is that they completely skip that, and they don't even, like, nobody is really talking about it, and that is important. It's about, how do you treat yourself? Like, what is your relationship with yourself? Because if you don't take care of yourself, I mean, you're the biggest asset in this equation. I mean, this is trading business, right? And if you don't take care of yourself, it's like, you cannot keep scolding yourself. There's just so much into this, into the identity. So absolutely, this influences. It's like, you cannot just say, oh, and now I'm done trading, because most traders cannot leave it at the desk. They will sit at the dinner table, and maybe their spouse talk to them, and their head is on the chart somewhere, on the loss, or thinking already, how am I going to make it back tomorrow? So
just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1 for starting your day with calm intention, 1 to stay centered while you trade, and 1 to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description.
It's a tricky situation because a lot of traders quit, right? There's a statistic of like 90%, especially in the day trading world, of traders that get into it and quit because they hit these encounters and they don't push through them. But then you get into the 10% or whatever the number is of the traders that really try. And then it's that really messy, really hard period where this is the work that we're talking about, that you kind of have to go through. And it's not obvious in the beginning. It wasn't for me. And I don't think it is for most traders that I have traded with, because it's so deep seated. Like for me, I identified like there was so much self-worth, but I always thought that I was a confident person and I believed in myself. But I think that there was some underlying of like, do I really think that I could be a 7-figure trader? Like, hell no. It was when I dug deep into that, I was like, that doesn't even sound like a person that I ever would have thought I would be. And so I think digging into like, you do think on the surface level, you have a lot of confidence and you feel good in whatever environments, but trading exposes such raw core parts of ourselves that I didn't even realize I had. But then like changing that and kind of blowing it up and then being like, oh my gosh, I have to reframe this in my mind. That can be incredibly powerful and it takes time, right? I say in this other room that I'm in all the time, because it just comes up, that P&L is a lagging indicator. Like all of the work that you have to do, the money's not going to come on day 3, but it might come after a year of doing this really hard work. And that the P&L is the last thing, the dollar signs are the last thing because it's a lot of work.
There is this amazing book that's called The Big Leap. And the question is really not about only, do I see myself as a 7-figure trader, but do I see myself as a 7-figure earner? Do I see myself as a successful person? Because a lot of people, and that's fear that for many people sounds like, oh, that's irrational, but for most fears are actually afraid of success. They don't think they deserve it. They don't think they're worth it. They don't think, that they can have it because what would other people say? So when you talk about self-worth, and I'm mentioning that book because he's talking about upper limits. We all have upper limits, and depending on where you are in your development, everyone has an upper limit somewhere, and then you extend it, and then you have another upper limit and another upper limit. And finding your limits, finding where is that resistance, what are you resisting to move further to the next step? That is something that most people don't think about, especially like, okay, I'm just going to get into trading, make money, and it's going to be great. That is not enough good plan. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not even a plan. So how do you think this is going to go to start with? And who do you think you need to become to be that person? Because there is something really interesting about freedom. Most traders say, I want to trade because I want freedom. But not many people can actually handle freedom. Because if you really think about it, the moment you get into trading, you already have the freedom. You can trade whenever you want, you can buy whatever you want, sell whenever you want. You have the freedom. But most people make a mess out of it because they cannot handle it. So when you are thinking, I want to make millions trading, are you really ready for it? Because if you are, you will get there very fast. There's a reason why you are not there. Because in order to get to the next level, like sort of in a game, you got to get yourself ready for it. And if you are not there yet, that means you are not ready. And that's why this transformation journey, I find it so beautiful because, the moment I started working with traders, everyone's like, yeah, I want to know, and like, how quickly is this going to happen, right? It's this transformation. And then very soon after, they have this peace and patience, and they're like, okay, now I understand what those words mean that you say to me from the beginning. You are exactly where you should be. You are exactly in the place where you should be, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. Okay, there is something for you to learn so that you can move forward. But most traders don't look at what is there for me to learn. They sort of like, I'm losing and I'm stupid and this, like, let me work harder. Let's try again. And they don't take the opportunity to actually grow through that experience, to go to the next level and to start becoming the person that they are aspiring to become. So there is no shortcut to, from zero to hero. You have to go through those phases, not money-wise, but to adjust yourself to those conditions that when you are finally there trading for a living, that you can handle the freedom, that you can handle the stress, that you can still sleep, be relaxed, have peace of mind. Because if someone starts trading now and you say, oh, okay, in 2 months, you're going to trade for a living. All the securities are dropping, the securities that people have from the job, right? Insurance, having a job, having a paycheck, all this drops. And it is not just, oh, but I'm making money. Because you have a lot of rich people who still worry about money. The thing that you have to drop and let go is here. How can you let go of that stress, of that pressure to make money? Because if you are trading now and you already have the pressure, oh, I have to make money today, that is going to only get worse when you have no income next to it. You know what I mean? It's not going to get better, even if you are making money, but it will be more difficult to make money with that pressure because you are already in a high pressure environment. A long answer to your question.
Like your mindset is just living in like, yeah. It's a great example because even just saying that, it's like your mind is living in struggle and strife and scarcity versus like abundance. And it's working out. Like I have to let it take time. And maybe this week I don't take a payout, but that's because I had these days that I really learned from and it's coming. And I believe that I'm showing up for the work of it.
Right.
It's such a different mindset shift. And I don't think you know it until you start shifting it. And you're like, oh, it is better.
Yes.
It's better on the other side. So I want to try and like be on that side more often.
And you're so right, because it is about the abundance mindset. And it's not about, oh, I always have a lot. And so it's not about that. It's really releasing the fear that there is not enough opportunity, that the money is not gonna, that there's like this limited amount of money. Because money is, at least that's what I believe and that's what I see and experience in my life, money is energy. So it is not something that it's ending. Like we say making money, right? Like I need to make money. It's like that's illegal. We cannot make money. We're not making money, okay? That's not allowed. We are exchanging our efforts or our goods for different form of energy, right? So we give the money, we get something, and then we get the money, we have to give something. It's not like, okay, it's just, it's just there and I can grab it. No, there's something you have to do for it. And the scarcity is the thing that is telling you to squeeze it and not let go. And this is where the energy stops flowing. And when the energy stops flowing, it also stops flowing to you. So, yeah. And so abundance has a very different dimension. Don't squeeze it. Exactly. It's a little bit like a snake, like hold it, but not squeeze it so that it doesn't bite you, but to hold it enough so it doesn't slip away.
Yeah, I love the visualizations you're giving me. Like this is such a power. I see why you coach because you're very good at it. I'm so grateful for you today.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
So say we're like a trader like me and we're like mid transformation and we're still like locking into our best selves. What does that look like? What should like a goal be for like living your life, being a trader, having a balance, having a healthy kind of confidence, having things outside of trading that bring joy also and still succeeding at the charts? What is the kind of the ideal there that we ought to kind of have in our mind that we're aiming for?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing is to drop the idea that trading is going to fix your life. That once you are finally successful, now your life is going to be all dandy. That's not going to happen. If your life is messy, if you are not consistent in your life, this will show the same way in trading. A year ago, I had the pleasure and honor to have Brett Steenbarger on my podcast, and it was on 4th of July, so very symbolic. So he was talking about freedom, and he said, if you are not fulfilled in your life, you are not going to find fulfillment in trading. You already, actually he said wealthy. He used the word wealthy. If you are not wealthy, and he doesn't mean money-wise, he means the fulfillment. So, and I totally agree with that, because I see it all the time. People are getting into trading, trying to make money and putting their own worth behind it. And that's not healthy, because that's where things go wrong. Every single loss takes something away from you as a person. And that's not healthy. That's not, you cannot feel confident. Every time you take a loss, you think it says something wrong about you. That's damaging. So really building your life separately from trading and finding out who you are, who you want to be, what is important to you, and looking at your beliefs, looking at what beliefs that I have, what kind of patterns do I have that are not working for me right now. Because if they don't work in your life for you, they won't work in trading, because you will take everything how you live, you will put it into trading straight away, like 1-to-1. I can guarantee you. One example is boundaries. People who have no boundaries, they will have no boundaries in trading either. People who are perfectionists, this will definitely show up in trading as well. People who are people pleasers, or they're looking to prove themselves, they will be fighting the market. They will have unrealistic expectations and a lot of other behaviors. So really looking at yourself first, not trying to fix your life through trading, but taking care of yourself well, and making sure that you are content with your life, that you have the patterns, because like bringing it more into the practical part, I think consistency and discipline, they go together. And the more consistent you are with your routines, the more consistent you are with the way that you think, the way that you see yourself, the way that you talk to yourself, creating peace of mind, but also awareness, building awareness, because without that, you cannot even know what patterns you have. All that is gonna change the way that you are behaving in your life, the way that you are, because this will become your new identity. And from there, you will be automatically more patient, more poised, less reactive in trading.
That was absolutely perfect. I was like mesmerized for a minute because I'm just thinking about it all myself, because I completely agree with what you said. And I have learned this over the last few years as well, of I can't expect great consistent results in trading when my life feels kind of wild and there's like so many different external stressors, and I'm like trying to have a healthy, balanced, consistent trading session. Meanwhile, my mind is on a million other things that I'm juggling and I'm discontent with and I don't know what I'm going to do about, and I'm irritated with this conversation. It was never stable. And so as I've like trying to grow and like get that really steady consistency, I have found that my best weeks is when I just like kind of relax and like I'm gentle with all of my extra things and I put them where they need to be and I do my best and I believe that everything is fine and that I am doing my best and like it's all working out. Then it crosses over into my trading, and it's always that when my life I just feels more calm and gentle and appropriate and reasonable and stable, that's what my P&L reflects at the end of my trading week as well. And it's, it's harder to control sometimes, but I think knowing that it's going to cross over can kind of make you be intentional with it all.
Absolutely. And, I think the part of the control is a really interesting point, because we always want to be in control. But in trading, you got to acknowledge, understand, and accept that there are parts in that equation that you don't control, and just really focus on those parts that you do, because otherwise it will be a constant battle. There is something in there that has to do with being humble and being grateful that we have the privilege to actually do this. Because I think sometimes traders can be so cocky and fight the market. You know what I mean? Like, you won't win with the market. You might have luck. Maybe, okay, it might work a few times. But overall, like everyone knows, overall, market can just completely, go over you and destroy you. So having that attitude of like, there is something so big and I'm just this little ant in this whole market situation, so to say, and I have the privilege to take some of the profit, some of the money from that, and all I need to do is really have that attitude of, I just need to control myself. I just need to manage myself, not anyone else. It's only about me. And it's funny because, generally speaking, people love to take care, or you would say, right, to think about them. It's something that, like people, when they talk, they always talk about themselves, right? So in trading, you have the opportunity. Take care of yourself. Really take care of your best interest, not everyone else's. Stop, even like comparing yourself to other people, it can be very damaging. It's really about you. And you have to find yourself important enough to do that. And I think that's one of the problems, that people might think that they will be egoistic if they take care of themselves.
Yeah. I think that that's a really great point of like, you are your own best asset and you have to make it work for you and tune out a lot of the noise, because at the end of the day, like, this is for you. You're doing this for you, for your family, for whatever your goals are, and it needs to be sustainable. You have to have this whole life outside of it as well. And so to kind of be gentle and give yourself grace through this period, knowing that it's hard and it's going to be a lot and you're going to have to do these deep changes to do what is right at a lot of levels, so that you can kind of weather all of that, because the lows in trading when you're really starting to figure it out can really hurt you, can take a person really down into a depressed state if you kind of allow those feelings to take root. But it's so much healthier to do our best, which is not always easy, to let it go and be kind to yourself through this process. And I think a lot of us will go through a period where we don't always do that, and it's an awful feeling. And so I think that what you said is just really nice.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I've been there so many times in my trading career. Switching from that place where you stop really beating yourself up for mistakes and really looking at this as this is a journey. And the thing is that we always get what we focus on. So the more you are focusing on the things that are not working, you will just see them more coming back. This is just purely how our brain works. We see what we are constantly are busy with because we have to filter information. Just, like when you are buying a car and you have a certain brand in your mind, suddenly you see this car driving everywhere. It's like, I had no idea there were so many of these cars here, right? Or you commute the same road every single day, and then you are suddenly decided you're going to buy a new mattress. And all of a sudden you're like, there is a mattress store here. I've never seen this mattress store. I'm driving here for 2 years straight. Never seen it. Because we filter things out. And now you suddenly see it. So this is the same in trading. Whatever you focus on, this is going to be constantly present in your experience. So yes, you made a mistake. Learn from it. Look what happened. Don't beat yourself up. Move on. Literally, I call it fall forward. If you fall forward. Stop falling backwards. Because the moment that you take a loss and you say, not again, now you are actually giving yourself information that now you are going back. And now this whole cycle starts. And now it's stuck. Yeah. One more thing that we need to be really aware of is that we are dealing with nervous system. We have a nervous system, It's like we have to keep that in mind. You cannot forget it. Our mind is very strong. We can do a lot with our mind. Like even when you're tired, you can talk yourself into still doing more, right? That's why people have problems with their body, because the body says, hey, take some rest. And you're like, I'm not going to listen to this. I'm just going to go on. So finally, the body says, stop. So we are very strong in our mind. But your nervous system reacts under surface to everything that's around it. And it's constantly scanning for danger. We are wired to scan for danger so that we can protect ourselves. We are wired for survival. Trading is the environment that is constantly triggering that instinct and those patterns, those survival patterns. So when your nervous system is elevated and something happens like a loss and you're like, oh my God, and you start thinking all the things that this loss means. Oh, I will never make it as a trader. You start really catastrophizing about it. Your nervous system goes, oh my God, never? We're never gonna make it? Fight. And then you go and you start acting because I need to take action. I need to prevent this from happening, right? So that's why we have all this behaviors, all these reactive behaviors. And it's not just because of emotions, because I can tell you, after 15 years of trading, I still have emotions. The difference is I just don't react to them. I can let them be. And that's the difference. It's not about switching off emotions. It's about choosing and creating that moment, this little millisecond of becoming aware and choosing a different path, just like domino. Like normally it's falling always this way, but if you can create this little pause in between and say like, not this time we go this way, it changes everything. So really building awareness, letting the emotion be, but not react to it.
I absolutely love what you just said so much. And I am going to clip this out and put it everywhere all the time, because you have been a trader for 15 years and you're like, I still have emotions. The difference is I catch them sooner and more aware, and I choose what to do in those moments. And so instead of revenge trading, maybe you shut down your platform and you go for a walk. And like, what a different outcome that creates. And that habit loop that you have shifted to is like, that's where it's at. That's how you prevent the tilting days and the revenge trading, the over trading chaos that we can get into by saying, well, I'm I'm just gonna fix it really quick, and like sitting at your computer and continuing to engage, like that
Yeah,
to me, like that literal moment right there can change everything for a
absolutely.
trader.
And the interesting thing is, it doesn't, like, to change that, to make that shift, it doesn't take years to do that. Like, I work with traders, and within 2 months, they already have this new habit. They can stop themselves, they can sit there and not react. They feel calm, they are patient, not because they force themselves to be patient, but because they don't have to chase anything. So it's not just understanding, but really regulating yourself and regulating your nervous system so that you don't have to be patient. Because you only have to be patient if you're waiting. But if you are sitting in front of your computer as a trader, stop thinking you're waiting. You're waiting if you have scarcity. You're waiting if you have the urge to make money. You're waiting if you need to be in a trade. But if you shift your perspective, you're here because you're a trader, and you are here to watch if there is an opportunity good enough for you. Most traders think, am I good enough? Am I good enough of a trader? Am I good enough to make the money? Remember, the opportunity has to be good enough for you to invest the money, just completely the other way around. It's not about you being good enough.
Okay. I love that so much. I can see why you are a coach and why you've continued in this business, because you're very good. Like just the way we've only had a short time today, but I'm so grateful for your time and being able to have this conversation with you, because really you are dropping so much powerful wisdom that I can tell that you have amassed over time, and I can see how it works, because there are a lot of elements of this that I have put energy on, and it has had an impact, and you just say it so clearly and so plainly. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to your audience. I love to talk to traders. That's really, I thrive on that, and I thrive seeing people succeed and really getting out of that cycle. Especially that, again, sometimes they're stuck there for 10, 15 years, and they get out in a very short time. That's just lights up my day. That gets me out of bed every morning, basically.
I love that. Well, I know that people are going to want to find you after watching this episode. So we'll put the links in your description. But do you want to just tell people quickly, like what you offer out in the world besides just being here with us today?
Sure. Yes. Thank you. So yes, I do have a podcast, Confidence in Trading podcast, on all major platforms. You can always find me there. It's a bi-weekly podcast. I also post a blog every week, so it's on aheadcoach.com. I have a weekly newsletter where I send out, free trainings, free blog, podcast. I always like inform people what's going on. I organize some events where I invite traders, just like, the events I do with Brett Steenbarger on a regular basis, which, by the way, we will be doing another one in August. So together with Brett and also Peter Robbins this time. They have just both published their books recently, and I can't wait. I have been working with them for a long time now. So, and I work with traders on different bases. I have my signature program, Rise Up. It's the Profitable Trader Accelerator, and I open the door twice a year, and the next time will be end of August. And it's a 3-month program where you build the discipline to trade with calm, consistency, and confidence. And people who are stuck and looking to make trading their career are welcome.
That's amazing. Like, great job, like taking trading and transforming yourself and then sharing with the world. I absolutely love that and fully support that with you. And I'm grateful for your time today.
Thank you.
And so hope everyone was taking some notes, because that was really a great conversation today. Share it with a friend, because I think that we all could hear all these conversations. I mean, I'm certainly going to enjoy editing this and rewatching it myself too. So thank you everyone for your time, and especially you, Agnieszka. I really enjoyed
Thank
today.
you so much, Becky, and thank you everyone for listening. Have a good trading career.